Good morning, everyone. I hope you guys can hear me. On behalf of the Statistics Society of the University of Sri Jawaharlal, I warmly welcome you all to the dashboard workshop of Data Explore 2.0. Data Explore 2.0 is an inter-university data analytics competition designed to enhance students' skills in data exploration, analysis, and visualization through a structured and practical approach. As a part of this journey, today's workshop plays a very important role. It is aimed to equipping participants with the necessary knowledge and skills in dashboard development, data storytelling, and effective visualization techniques, which will be essential for the upcoming stages of the competition. We are truly honored and grateful to have Dr. Thiyanga Talagala, Senior Lecturer in the Department of Statistics at the University of Sri Jawaharlal with us today as the resource person. Madam brings extensive expertise in this field, and we are confident that this session will be highly insightful and beneficial to all our participants. Without further delay, I would like to invite Madam to take over the session. Thank you, and I hope you all have a very productive workshop. Over to you, Madam.
Thank you, Natasha. I hope you are audible. Natasha, can you hear me?
Yes, Madam, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
So thank you to the Statistics Society, University of Sri Jawaharlal for organizing this event to promote statistics and also to enhance data storytelling. Also, thank you to the team for the huge effort they have taken in organizing this event, and special thanks to the president and the secretary for leading the team. Thank you also to the team members for their dedication, support, and hard work in making this event successful. So today I will teach how to create, what are the things that you need to consider when developing a dashboard. And also I will be teaching how to develop a dashboard using Quarto software. The reason for using the Quarto software for today's workshop is when it comes to data science or data analysis, these days we mainly talk when somebody says about a data analysis software, immediately R and Python came to our mind. The reason for using the Quarto platform is whether you're an R user or a Python user, you can use the Quarto dashboard, Quarto software to do any kind of documentation. If you're an R user, you might have familiar with the R Markdown documentation. This is similar to our Markdown documentation platform. And also, if you are a Python user, you are quite familiar with the Jupyter Notebook. So this is similar to the Jupyter Notebook, but this has much more advanced features than them in terms of the documenting the work. So let's move to the slides now. I'll share the slides. I'll move to the other computer. All right. So today I basically divided my presentation or the workshop into two parts. One is dashboard building. The other part is how to use AI tools as a code assistant. So the AI tools are there to help us. So we don't need to restrict them using them, But in order to use even AI tools, you need to have some knowledge, right? In today's workshop, so you can use AI. AI is there to help you by supporting our work and also to improve the efficiency of our work. But in order to use AI, you also need to have some strong critical thinking and creativity, and also you need to know the basic jargons or the terminologies that we use in dashboard making or art. Then only you can use the AI efficiently. But AI is a powerful tool, but it is human-driven ideas, judgments, and creativity that gives the real meaning to the real value to the dashboard, right? Okay. Uh, First, I will talked about the dashboard components and how we lay a dashboard. So I will show you a dashboard, sample dashboard that I created. Share the I'll share the files with you after the workshop. Okay. So this is a sample dashboard that we are going to prepare today. So the first one is, you can see on top here, I have, let me see if I can take that note. Yeah. On top, you can see this is the title or the header of the dashboard. When selecting a title, you need to think about the number of words as well. Because if you are going to put a long title, it's going to be appear, it will dominate the entire top bar here. So you need to be very careful when selecting a suitable title. And title should be short, clear, and it should give the idea about the overview or main idea of the work that you are going to perform today. In addition to that, I include my name as the author. If you're working on as a team, you can include the company logo or your team logo. You can include those things here. And the other component is, this is called the title or the header. And this part is called the navigation menu. So title and the navigation menu, they are in one row, they are in one place. So navigation menu helps us to move from one page to the other on the dashboard. This helps us to move from one page to other in our dashboard. That's called the navigation menu. And the next part that we have is the KPIs, key performance indicators. So usually when it comes to key performance indicators, we visualize them like this. We call these as cards. So through the purpose of the key performance indicator is to give the main idea or just an abstract of the data analysis, all the things that they need to have in order to navigate through the dashboard. So you can, here in this case, I'm going to use a data set called penguins. And this data set has 3 species types. They are Adelie, Chinstrap, and Gento. Here I mark the number of penguins, Adelie, Chinstrap, and Gento. Total number of Adelie penguins in my sample, total number of Chinstrap penguins in my sample, and total number of Gento penguins in my sample. So because that's the key driver to my dashboard. Uh, uh, you don't need to include just the sample size. You can also include some main findings as well, so that the audience, the people can keep them in mind and navigate through the dashboard. If you find some significant findings that you want to highlight, you can also include them here. Then after that, we'll be teaching about the filter controls and the export data visualization. They are all related to the dashboard content. Now, on the screen, what you see is the first page of my dashboard. When you're creating the first page of the dashboard, you have to consider a few things. This is also called the open page of the dashboard. This gives an overview of the data set, an overview of your analysis. It could be its findings or some important statistics. So you can here include key summaries. You can also include here important indicators. If you have time series data, you can include the time period and number of time series that you have. If you have sales from multiple companies, you can include the number of companies that you have, whether the frequency of the time series data, whether it's yearly data or monthly data, or the things like that, you can include in the front page. Here, the purpose is to give the big picture of the data analysis. Begin with key summaries, important indicators, and the big picture before showing the detailed analysis. This helps the audience to get an overview of your data set. And also, the other thing that this is all about the first page of the data analysis, first page of the dashboard creation. And the second thing that you need to remember is always before you begin the dashboard development, you should have a story for your data set. Maybe you can start analyzing the data and you have to think of what is the story that I'm going to tell. It is not just a couple of plots. It's not just presenting the statistic. You need to have a story. So that means actually the dashboard should guide the viewer from overview to details and help them to understand the main message quickly. When you are telling a story, one thing that you need to remember is one page should lead to the next. It is like writing a storybook. When you are writing a storybook, you finish one page and you to go to the next page because you are very curious about what's happening in the story. So the same thing happens here as well. You tell a story using the plots and the statistics, and that page should lead to the next. Then it is actually like you are writing a story book. The other thing that you need to remember is always keep it simple. Don't put too many plots, too many tables, too many colors. Focus on what supports the main objective. So sometimes when you do a data analysis and when you prepare a report, you will get lots of plots, but you don't need to put all of the plots into the dashboard. You have to put the plots that are useful in telling the story. Because if there are too many plots, maybe audience will not be able to get the main idea or the main message of your data analysis. And the other important thing that you need to focus on the consistency. For example, if I use orange color to represent Adelie penguins, keep that color reserved to represent Adelie. If you use purple to represent chinstrap, keep that color locked for the chin strap. Likewise, then when the audience get familiar with the first two pages, they immediately know when they go to the next page, okay, the orange dots represent the Adelie, purple dots represent the chin strap, and the green dot represents the Gento. So the consistency is very important when it comes to the dashboard development. You have to consistency in terms of colors, themes, and also the labels, fonts. Those are the things that you need to consider when it comes to the consistency mainly. And other things are also another thing that you need to consider is the audience. You also need to think what type of equipment that they use to device that they use to visualize your dashboard. Whether it's an exploratory dashboard or explanatory dashboard, and the level of knowledge of your audience. These things you need to think before developing the dashboard. Okay, now I will teach you how to develop the dashboard, how to develop this first dashboard. What you need to do is you need to you need to create a folder inside whatever the project file that you have. I will create a folder called DB. And Vince, make sure to save all your data files, Quarto files and Quarto output files, everything inside this folder. And when somebody asks the dashboard, don't send just the file corresponds to the dashboard. You have to send the data files, your coding files, everything inside the folder. So basically, that means you have to pass the entire folder. Okay. So I'm going to create a dashboard. I'll show you the steps that you need to how to open a Quarto document. And later we will see how to turn it into a dashboard. So for that, what you need to do is you can go to File, New File, and Quarto document. This is the one that you are going to select, File, New File, Quarto document. When you open Quarto document, you will see a window like this. So if you want, you can add a title. If you want, you can add an author. I'm not going to add anything here because I can change the title author later. And I can select what type of output that I need to have. Whether I want to have a HTML output or PDF output or the Word output. In our dashboard, we are going to have some interactivity on the plots. So we are going to have some interactive dynamic plots. So we need to have the HTML file selected. So make sure that you select the HTML file. Today, I'm basically using R. So because of that, I'm selecting the engine as knitter. By default, this shows the engine as knitter. You can see the engine type as knitter. Because I'm using R today for today's workshop. But if you are a Python user, what you can do is you can select the engine Jupyter. So I will go with the engine knitter and click on create. if you find it difficult to follow with me, you don't need to worry. You can just take down the steps and you can follow the content later, right? Okay. You will get a document like this. So if you are familiar with R Markdown, this is very similar to the R Markdown document. Now what we need to do is we have to save this document inside the folder that I created. In order to save the document inside the folder that I created, I'm going to knit the document. I'm going to generate the output of the document. So that's called render. You can click on the button render that will ask you to select a location to save. So I'm going to select inside my folder location. And I'm going to give the name index. It is good to give the name index for the dashboard because this is useful when you are doing the deployment. When you are deploying the dashboard, we need sometimes for some platforms, we need to have the dashboard saved as index. So I'm going to save it index, and this will also generate the output. Okay, so by default, this is the associated output. So one side, so if we go, if you look at the folder now, so if you look at my DB folder now, this is the folder that I initially created. Now inside this folder, I have a document called index.qmd. Index.qmd corresponds to this document. Furthermore, when I click the button render, I get the associated output file. My output file name is also index. Since I select output type as HTML, you get an HTML file. This is my HTML file. This is my output document. This is the place where I edit things. I cannot edit anything on the HTML document. I cannot edit anything here. I do everything inside my .qmd file. And when I press the button render, I'm getting the output. I always do the edits here, and this is my output. So sometimes when we are during we have a data visualization lecture for like a unit for our students. Sometimes I give my students assignments to create dashboards. When they submit their assignment, they only submit this part. They only submit index.html file. Or in other words, they only submit this one. If you submit only this file, then what happens is I will not be able to see any of your figures. In order to view your file, I'll need your complete folder. If you are going to use some data, you will also store your data set inside this folder. So if you're passing this, if you want to share your dashboard with someone, what you need to do is you have to share the entire folder, which contains the QMD files, which contains the HTML file, data. If you include figures, sometimes you include figures in the dashboard. Everything should be shared. Otherwise, the other person cannot view the dashboard.
if you don't like to share these documents with another party, what you need to do is you have to deploy the dashboard. In order to deploy dashboards, you can use the GitHub pages. You can also use the POSIT cloud. There are several platforms to deploy the dashboards. Then what you can do is you can share the link of the dashboard. You can share the links of the dashboard. But I think for the competition, you are asked to upload the dashboard into a Google Drive. So what you need to do is you have to upload the entire folder. In the folder, you can, if you want, you can put a note. You can put another Word document mentioning, directing the others. Okay, my dashboard is the HTML file. So if you have multiple files, we don't know which one is your final dashboard. So in that case, you can add a small README file to the folder. So the evaluators can read the README file and identify which file we should refer to when we win the dashboard. Okay. Feel free to ask any questions. If you have any doubts, feel free to post it into the chat, or you can unmute and you can ask the questions. Okay, now let's see how to create the dashboard. In order to create the dashboard, I'm going to delete this default content. I don't need this default content because that it is not the content that I need. I'm going to delete the content, and also I will change few things. First of all, I will add these ones. I will add. You can see when creating the dashboard, always the first part of the dashboard starts with 3 dashes. This is called the YOMA. This controls the appearance of the dashboard. So here, in this case, I give the title. This is my header of the dashboard. And also, you have to change the format to the dashboard. And I keep this as source, then I can see the source file. And if you want, you can add your name. And this is the theme for the dashboard. There are different types of themes. I'm going to use the theme called Yeti. Okay, now let me run this. When I run this, I should be able to get the initial appearance of my dashboard. Okay, now you can see the initial platform of the dashboard. So I will give you few minutes to get the first few steps done. So I will give you 3 minutes to get this work done. If you get any issues, let me know in the chat. If you cannot see the beaver plane here, you can go to this setting icon and select preview in beaver plane. If the dashboard is opening in a separate window, then click on this icon here and select preview in plane. Okay. This is the first format of the dashboard. Now I have a dashboard with a header. That's all I have. These are some other themes that I will share the slides with you. These are some themes that you can try in your dashboard. For example, if you change this to darkly, you will get a dashboard in a dark color theme. Okay, now we change the dashboard appearance to the dark color theme. Likewise, there are a set of themes that you can use. You can find them. You can find them when I share the slides with you. Okay. Now this is the first dashboard. Okay, we have 2 more minutes. So I'll give you 2 more minutes to get the things done, ready. So when I go to my dashboard file, now I have my Quarto document as well as the HTML document. In addition to that, it generates another folder inside your main folder that corresponds to the files of your HTML document. So if you want to share the dashboard, you have to share all these files. You have to share the entire folder. I got a question in the chat. I cannot see the dashboard in the viewer after changing the settings. If you go to this setting, if you click on this drop-down menu, make sure that you select the preview in viewer plane. Make sure that you select this option. Then only you can see the dashboard in the viewer plane. If in case you cannot see the dashboard in the viewer plane, what you can do is you can go to the dashboard file and click the HTML file. And then you will see two options: open in editor, view in web browser. Click on view in web browser. Then you will see it on a web browser. If you cannot see the dashboard in the viewer plane, go to your folder, click on the HTML, index HTML, and click on view in web browser. Then you will see the dashboard. Okay. Okay, now let's go to the other menus. In my previous dashboard, I showed you there are a couple of navigation menus. Let's see how to create the navigation menus. I will call the first the page in my dashboard as overview. I'll call the second page in my dashboard as body size relationships. And the third one, let's say gender-wise comparison. Always make sure to include about tab at the end as the last panel. This is where you list all of your group members, the source of data, or any additional notes that you want to share with your audience. That should all be listed under the About tab. Okay, so what I did first, I just type hashtag and the name of the navigation bar, the hashtag name of the page. Okay, let me create the render button again. Okay, now you will get the navigation bars. So this is the overview. You won't see anything anything happens here, but this creates separate pages. If I put here 1, 2, just to show how these pages changes when you navigate through the bar. Okay. So if you go to overview, you can see the number 1 underneath. If you go to the second page, you can see 2. If you go to the third page, you can see 3. If you go to the fourth page, you can see 4. So very easy. You can create a very beautiful dashboard without knowing even HTML. You create an HTML dashboard, but you don't need the HTML knowledge. Okay. So this is about creating the dashboard. Before creating the dashboard, you should have some idea about the data analysis, your data set, right? Okay, before moving to the other section, I will teach you this is just a guidance, not a rule, what you should do when you're given a data set. So the first steps in data analysis, where the first step one is you have to identify what is the main research question. What decision should this analysis support? What problems are we trying to solve? You have to find the answers for these three questions when you are given the data set. And after that, check whether you have a target variable and an explanatory variable. Check whether you can divide the variables into a target variable or the dependent variable and outcome variable. For some problems, there could be many outcome variables, and the other variables can be considered as the independent variables or the predictor variables. For example, suppose you are given a data set to predict the cholesterol level of patients, then the cholesterol level is the target variable or the output variable. Other variables are the explanatory variables or the independent variables of the predictor variable. But there are some situations, you cannot classify the data set into variables into target variable and the explanatory variables. For example, if you are asked to find the patterns in the data, you will be given a data set and asked to find the different pattern, compare the different penguin species. Then they haven't mentioned whether it's a target, then it is not a prediction problem. It is just an exploratory data analysis problem. So only for some cases this is valid, but there are situations where you cannot go with this rule. There are situations that you cannot find an explanatory variable, explanatory variable and the target variable, right? If you have it, you have to consider that. So for some data set, there may not be clearly defined a response variable. This is commonly happens in exploratory data analysis or a clustering problem or an unsupervised learning problem, or if the focus is just to identify the patterns, or if the focus is just to summarize the data, then in those cases, we cannot define a target variable. Okay. So after that, what you need to do is you have to identify your, classify your variables into categorical variables and the quantitative variables. Identify, okay, these are the categorical variables, these are the quantitative variables. Sometimes even the categorical variables could be given as 1010. For example, sometimes gender is given as 101010. So it is not a quantitative variable, it's a categorical variable. So you can prepare a grid. When you're given the data set, you can prepare a grid and classify, okay, these are the quantitative variables, these are the categorical variables. And furthermore, in front of each categorical variable, write whether it's an ordinal variable or the nominal variable. Because ordinal variable and nominal variable should be treated in different ways when it comes to data visualization. Right. After that, what you need to do is, now these are the prerequisites, right? For any data set, you have to identify these things. And you have to check the data quality analysis. You have to perform a data quality analysis. Check whether you have missing values in the data set, duplicates, outliers, incorrect entries, inconsistent coding, unit mismatch. these need to be corrected before performing the analysis. It's something like this. When you have water, you don't go and immediately drink the water. What you do is first you have to filter. If it contains some particles, you have to filter, you have to boil, and after that only you drink the water. If you drink this one, then it is going to be a big problem. So the same thing happens with the data analysis as well. If you perform a poor quality, if you analyze a poor quality data set, you will get lots of issues. And the other thing that you need to do is, okay, now after cleaning or after doing all of these things, you can start the analysis. What I recommend is start with the univariate analysis. I'm talking about here, the data in a manageable size. For example, in today's world, sometimes you will get 100 variables. In those situations, this approach is not suitable. But if you get less than 30 variables, 5 to 30 variables, this approach is suitable. What I recommend is perform a univariate data analysis. Take each variable one by one and take the individual plots. For example, in our data set, we have the gender of the penguins, we have their species type, we have the island they live, and for the quantitative variables, we have the body mass of the penguins, their flipper length. When you take penguins, they have the flippers. We call these as flippers. Furthermore, we have their bill length, length of the beak, and bill depth. You can take individual plots for each of these variables. You don't need to put all of them. I'll teach a way to put them. So this is outside your data visualization dashboard. This is just a guidance to give you how to start the data analysis. Well, sometimes some students get lost when you see the data asset. If you have experience in analyzing lots of data set, you don't need to follow this one. You can have your own way of doing the data analysis. But if you are completely blind, you can start the analysis in this way. So first we look at the variable one by one. We take the gender distribution and we look at the gender distribution. We look at the distribution of body mass just one by one. And then after that, we can go for bivariate analysis. When it comes to bivariate analysis, first analyze qualitative variables. For example, species. Species versus island. You can take the cluster bar chart like this. Cluster bar charts or stack bar charts can be used to analyze, visualize two qualitative variables. And then after that, go for qualitative, quantitative. For example, something like species and body mass. So you can draw the distribution of the Adelie penguins. You can draw the distribution of chinstrap penguins. You can draw the distribution of the other penguins. Third step is to get the quantitative analysis. Quantitative. So, for example, the relationship between their body mass and the flipper length. So we start talking about the univariate analysis. We start talking about the bivariate analysis, right? These are the initial step. If you get a data set, if you don't know where to start, use this rule. If you're prominent in the field, if you have experience in analyzing lots of data set, you might have your own way of starting the process, right? This is for the students who are completely blind, get blind when you are given a data set. And for example, suppose when you analyze body mass, you see 3 peaks. When you analyze body mass on its own, you see 3 peaks. Distribution of the body mass variable, you see 3 peaks like that. And when you take the bivariate analysis, now you see the separate distribution, Adele, chin strap, and Cento. You will see the distribution of the penguins. Now looking at this one, you can see, okay, now you can find the reason that where you have 3 peaks. You can see the reason why you have 3 peaks because of the differences in the chin strap penguins, differences in the species. So if I delete this one, if I redraw the idea, explain the idea. When you draw body mass on its own, bivariate analysis, when you draw univariate analysis, you see the distribution of body mass like this. Multimodal distribution. You see the distribution, 3 peaks. And when you draw it by species, you see the distributions like this. This is Adele, this is Gentoo, this is Chinstrap. So what happens is when you combine these 3 and when you ignore the species, you will see these 3 peaks in a one distribution. You will see these 3 peaks in one distribution. When you analyze them separately, you can see the differences in the distribution. So in a situation like this, this chart the second chart helps to identify the reasons in the peaks. So what you can do is in a situation like this, if you have lots of charts in the report, you can't have enough space in the dashboard to put all of them. You can remove this chart and instead you can add only this chart. Because this chart tells the body mass vary with respect to another factor. That's why you have 3 peaks like this. Body mass vary with respect to another factor. But when you see this chart, now it is very clear the body mass vary according to species type. So this gives the full detail according to which factor the body mass vary. So you don't need to include this one. Instead, we can directly give this idea to the reader. So likewise, you create your all the charts, but you don't need to include all of them. You have to identify which ones are the most important, which ones are the safe to drop from the dashboard. Okay. And if you want, you can go for the 3 variable analysis. For example, let's say body mass and bill length for the Adele penguins. body mass and bill length for the chin strap penguins, body mass and bill length scatter plots for the gento penguins. Now this is a three-way analysis. Why? We have two quantitative variables and one qualitative variable. So usually when it comes to this three-way analysis, we are going to talk about two quantitative and one qualitative variable. So the goal of this three-way analysis is to understand how one relationship depends on another factor. How this relationship, how body mass and bill length relationship change according to another factor. That's the goal of the three-way analysis. The goal of the two-way analysis is how one variable changes with another. This is the goal of the two-way analysis. The goal of the univariate analysis is identify what are the values present, how are they distributed, are there any missing values in the data set. That's the goal of the univariate analysis. Usually we go for univariate analysis, bivariate analysis, and three-way analysis. And if you have more than that, we go for high dimensional data analysis. If you are in third year or fourth year, you will learn techniques for high dimensional analysis, such as principal component analysis, T-SNE, those kind of there are UMAP, there are high dimensional data analysis. So I'm not going to talk about this high dimensional data analysis for today. Just for the information, I add this up because you can keep on learning. These are the high dimensional analysis is very useful when you have lots of data. So the summary, univariate to understand each variable, bivariate to understand the relationship, three variable is to understand the interaction, and high dimensional is to reduce the complexity and find patterns. Okay. Now we have got an idea about the analysis that we should perform. The focus of today's workshop is not to teach you how to do the data analysis, how to create a dashboard, right? So I have already covered this one, how to create a dashboard, open Quarto dashboard. And I talked about how to change the themes. So this is my dashboard format. In order to change the theme, what you can do is you can change the name. If you want Cosmo, this theme, you can add this name here. And we talked about the overview. We talked about the how to create a header panel, and we talked about how to create the navigation bars. It's very easy up to this point. Okay. If you have any questions up to now, please let me know. We can take them. If any questions, just let me know. We can take them. Okay. Then after that, now let's go and see how to add the cards, main detail. Okay, before this, so this is my dashboard layout. Now what I want to do is I'm going to do the R data analysis inside the dashboard, inside the R Markdown. Sometimes with some softwares, what you are doing is you do the analysis separately. You do the analysis separately. And you save the graphs as PNG files or the JPEG files. You save the files separately, and then you paste them on the dashboard. You paste them on the dashboard. But with the Quarto, what we are doing is we do the analysis inside the dashboard. So if data changes, we don't need to worry. We just need to rerun the dashboard. Okay, let's see how to include the code in the in my index file. This is how you should include the code. This is called code chunk. If you want to write R code, this is how you should include it. So in this case, I'm going to give don't worry about these packages. I'll be sharing this one with you. So you can later on run these on your own. You can later on run this on your own. Just listen, and then when you can follow the practicals later. So what I did here is I load the packages. This is how we load the packages in R. In this case, I'm going to use the, okay, I will remove this one, tidyverse. I can also remove this one. I'll keep the things simple. I use tidyverse package, R color brewer package. This is to extract some colors for my dashboard. This plotly package I use to make my graph interactive. And Chichi Galley is a very useful package to organize many graphs within a single plot. And these are, okay, I will remove these and run the code. I will remove these and see what happens. Okay. So you can see nothing happens here because this won't output anything. If you put this one here, this won't give any output. There's just the warnings and the other things. There is no output generated. So same thing happens with this as well. In addition to that, these are called chunk options. When you're working with R Markdown, if you want to close warning false, you type it like this. But with the Quarto, if you want to say that I want to close the warnings, this is how we pass those things. Instead of this one, we type it like this. These are called chunk options. So I name this entire chunk as load name. I will be opening many other chunks. If you want to give a name for this chunk, this is the name for this chunk, label. And the next one is hashtag / message false. This will not generate any messages. This will not generate any warning messages. So I keep those things as it is. I won't see anything. Just I set up my just load the packages that I need for the data analysis. Okay. These are the packages I need for the data analysis. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to load the data set for my analysis. I will share the entire file. Just listen. So you can see I did everything before my main menus. So now I call this entire chunk as load data. This entire chunk is called load package. This entire chunk is called load data. That's what I have here. And I asked the R2 not to print any warnings or messages. I don't want to have any warnings or anything printed here. In this case, I use a data set in R called penguins. In this case, I use a data set called penguins inside R. But in the competition, what you are getting is you will get a CSV file or Excel file. You have to read your data like this. You need to read the data as the normal way that you do. But I'm here in this case, I'm not going to read the data because I'm going to use the R data set itself. So still I'm not getting anything because I don't want to display these things on my dashboard. I want to display the plots on my dashboard. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a first panel. What I'm going to do is, what I want to do for the first panel is I will enlarge the screen. I don't know if you can remember the first panel that I got. I got 2 rows like this in my first in my dashboard initially. Then I also had some cards like this, key performance indicators. And can you remember also I got some plots as well. I got 3 plots like this. I got 3 plots like this. First, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create this one. First of all, I'm going to create this one. I'm going to create the first row. I'm going to create this first row. And for the first row, I want its height to be 20% of the screen. And this part, I need to be 80%. I need my first row to be 20% height. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to tell R under, now all of these things are happening in my overview tab. Now I use 2 hashtags because this is the main hashtag inside the overview panel. I need to do the changes. If you use 1 hashtag, always it will open a new page. Now I want to set 20% for the first row. I will just add that one and rerun the dashboard. You won't see anything. It just it just set the things. Now it will create a 20% on the first row. Now I'm going to add the value boxes. Okay, I will show you how to add a 1 value box. This is the code that you can use to add a value box. I'll first run this one. I will first run the 3 value boxes, and after that I will explain. Okay, the second value box and the third value box. So I have 152 Adelie penguins, and I have 68 chinstrap penguins, and I have 124 Gento penguins. So when I run this, I'm getting the output. I will get the output like this. Okay. You can see, even though I specified 20%, it covers the full dashboard, but don't worry. Even though I specified 20%, even though I asked it to give 20% height for the row, you can see it covers the whole plane. But don't worry, we can figure out, I'll show how it changes when I add the second row content. Okay, I will first explain one value box. You can read the others like others in the same way. Okay. This is the code corresponds to the Adelie dashboard. This corresponds to this value box, a daily value box. You can see the content type. Since we want to content a value box, we add value box. Next, we have to add the title. This title will appear here. This is the main title of the value box. And within the list, we can list the parameters. We can list the inputs that we want in order to change the appearance of the value box. For example, I mentioned I want to have an icon like this, and the name of this icon is feather. And I want the color of the value box to be this green. Always here I recommend you to put the hex value of the colors. Every color has a hexagon value. Put the hex value of the color. And this is the number of penguins. 152 penguins. Similarly, I have 3 value boxes. This is for the Adelie penguin value box. This at the value box for the chin strap. And the bottom next one adds a value box for the gender. 3 value boxes. So we specify the row. It add column wise. Within the row, it add things column wise. If you go to this website, if you go to this website, you can find the icon names. You can find different icon names. If you have a hospital data, you have to use the hospital data. If you have corona data, then you have to use some icons related to your study, right? That I have given the website in the slide, so you can view them later. Okay. Okay, now this completes the first row. Now I need to have the second row. In order to complete the second row, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say the second row column height is 40%. Second row column height is 40%. And I want to have 3 charts. Within that, I want to have 3 charts. So if I explain the content here, when you type overview with one hashtag, it creates one single page on the dashboard. Here you can see one hashtag always create a new page. Now inside this, if you want to do the changes, we use 2 hashtags. Row, the first one is height equals 20%. If you want to create again another row, you can say row height 40%. if you want to further split this row into 3 columns, you have to use 3 hashtags because you have to do it inside this row. I want to say split it column 40%. I need to have 3 columns like this. So again, I have to type this. Column width. We give the column width. So it will generate 2 columns. Why this is 3 hashtag? Because we have to do the changes only to this row. Okay. So when you go, so that's what I get. Now I want to split the second row into 3 columns. And for each, I want to put a chart. I will put a simple chart. I have some data cleaning codes as well. I clean some data. When you are doing the cleaning to the data, if you want to convert your quantitative variable into categorical variable, you can also put the cleaning code on top. So when we get a dashboard, we know, okay, the first one is the load packages, second section is to load data, third one is to clean data. So when you're here, now I'm going to include the plot. I will include the 3 plots. I generate the 3 plots using the ggplot package. I will tell you an easy way to generate these codes, right? Don't worry about the codes. Don't worry if you are not familiar with the ggplot. I will tell you an easy way to generate these codes. I'll give you a simple trick to generate these codes. Okay, now I generate 3 codes. So 3 plots. Now I'm getting the dashboard output like this. It's very simple. Now you get the 3 dashboards like 3 outputs like this, organized in this way. Some of you have might done the DG plot. Some of you might not. But don't worry, if you know how to use any AI tool, you can tell the AI. I have a data set called penguins. I have a species variable which contains 3 categories. And I have another categorical variable called field, which island, which contains Bisco, Dream, Togason. Give the ggplot code to create a cluster bar chart, something like that, ChatGPT will generate the code. After getting the code, it's your duty to understand the code. That's don't paste it. Understand the code, what the first line is doing, what the second line is doing, what the third line is doing. If you keep on copy and pasting, you have to rely on AI tools throughout your life. You're not learning anything. Always when you get a code or something from the AI, question, what is the first line? What is the second line? What is the third line? Likewise, you have to question. Then only you will learn with AI. Otherwise, you will slowly depend on the AI. You could be easily replaced from AI as well. That's not the way of using AI for learning. I will explain one thing here, and I will later give you an easy way to generate the ggplot. Just focus on one line here. When you look at the line, you can see this part of my code is generating the ggplot. And I give a name for this code P2. For example, if I paste this, if I copy this part and run on the machine, run on R, I get a plot like this. We call this as a static plot. Static plot means I cannot interact with the chart. The chart is freezed. It is not moving. I cannot interact with the chart. I cannot talk with the chart. Let me give a name for this chart as P2. Let me give the name for this chart as P2. And if I type P2, I'm getting the chart. Now with this chart, I cannot do anything. I cannot interact the chart. I can only read the chart. If you want to turn any static ggplot static graph into interactive, what you can do is you can use ggplotly. You have to use this package plotly. You have to use this package plotly. If you plot ggplotly P2, that will immediately make your graph interactive. Now you can interact with the chart. Now when you take the mouse here, you can say Adelie penguins. We have 44 penguins living in Disco Island. We have 56 penguins living in Dream Island. We have 52 penguins living in Togasen. And all of the chin-strap penguins, they are from the Dream Island. All of the Bisco penguins, they are from the, all of the Gento penguins, they are from the Bisco Island. So that's what I have done here. I enclosed all of my static plots into interactive. So when I generate the dashboard, when I generate the dashboard, I can now I can see the interactivity. If I just place P2, for example, let me remove this one and just place P1. I only changed the first chart. Now you can see the first chart is not interactive. It's just a static chart. If you want, if you click this one, it will expand the chart. These ones, they are interactive. So by default, it gives an option to expand the chart, right? And these are interactive. So very easy to make any chart into interactivity. Okay. Now I will teach you how to get the ggplot codes easily. If you haven't learned the theory of the ggplot, I will teach you how to get the ggplots easily. So for that, we use a special package called squiz. Use a package called squiz. You need to install this package called squiz. And then after that, what you need to do is you have to run this command squeezer. Then it will open a window like this. I hope you can see the window. Can you see the window, a separate window? Can you see the window? Can one of you confirm if you can see the window? Import data to create graph. Okay, yes. After that, what you need to do is you have to include your data set. So in the competition environment, you will get a data set, external data set. You will get either Excel file or a CSV file. I don't know what the file format is. We will select external file. So I will select an external file. I will have a CSV file inside my dashboard called penguin.csv. I will load the file. When you browse the file, it will load the file into the working directory, into the platform. Now, after that, you click on import data. Now you have the files loaded into the squeezer. After that, it is very simple. For example, if you want to draw a bar chart of species, just drag the species into X. It will draw the chart. If you want to color the bars according to the species, just add the colors into species. It will color the bars according to the species. And if you want to see the generated code, go to the code and you will see the code to generate it. Given the chart, this will generate the code, the copy code. And after that, you can copy the code into the dashboard. I will close this one. Copy the code, change the name to penguins or whatever the name of the data set. This will draw the plot. Very easy. And if you want to do some more modifications, you can pass this code to the whatever the AI tool and ask them to change. I want to have the Adili in this color. I want to convert these counts into percentages. You can get the help of the AI. So very easy with the squeezer to get the codes. If you don't know the theory of the ggplot, this is how you can easily generate the ggplot. I got a question. This is a very important question. The question is this one. The question is, should we load the process data file or the original file? You should load the process data file. You should load the clean file. So sometimes you have the BMI value, you code them into, you categorize them into underweight, overweight, moderate, like that. Or else there could be missing values in the data set. You impute missing values. There could be data entry errors. You fix the data entry errors. Here you should upload the clean data set, process data set, not the original one, the clean data set file. Because we use a squeezer to generate the plots. There is no cleaning step here. So if I show you how to generate the scatter plot, okay, let me again generate and upload the file, import data. Now suppose I want to draw a plot between bill length and bill depth. So you can drag bill length and bill depth. That will automatically select the plot to us. We don't even need to think of the plot that it should generate. And we can color the points according to the species type. And if you go to here code, that will show you the code. If you want more options, if you want to get more options, it shows if you want to draw smooth line, that will draw the smooth line as well. So we can change the plot type here. I will go to the default one, the point one, take the code, and you can add this code into the ggplot platform. This is a very useful way to generate the code if you don't know the theory. If you know the theory, you don't need to even look at these things. Okay. There are a few other things that I need to emphasize on the dashboard layout. Let me change the screen. I have given all of these reading links and everything, so you can watch them later. Okay. So this is just to explain the dashboard layout. So you can see this part of the code generates the first row. We have only one chart underneath, so it plays the chart here. When you look at the next one, this is second row. This is the second row. And underneath you have two charts. And these charts are filled column-wise by default. If you did not specify the columns, by default, it fills the charts column-wise. So the chart 1, this is chart 2, this is chart 3. This is chart 1. If you are a Python user, if you want to use Python code, you use Python here. We use R here. If you are an R user, we use R here. I will explain another layout. So when it comes to this chart, we first divide the entire space into two columns. Column 1 and column 2. This part is handling that. This creates a column 60% width. This creates a column 40% width. And then we have the charts. Okay, the chart goes here, and here the within a column, the charts are filled row-wise. Within the column, the width first create this chart, and then underneath it creates the chart row-wise. It fills the chart row-wise. Within a column, it fills the chart row-wise. Complete the first row and go to the second. Within a row, it fills the charts column-wise. Okay. So you can use this to see. So for example, if you did not put anything, if you just list the chart, it will fill the charts row-wise. So this will help if you put a scrolling through, then that will allow you to scroll the charts and see. Scroll the page and see the charts. Okay, I'm not going to illustrate all of the formats. Now you can use these formats to create different cards, different tabs, and those things. Okay, let's go back to the dashboard. I want to emphasize another important plot that is very useful when it comes to lots of data. When you have lots of data, this chart is very useful. Okay, I complete my first panel. Okay, so now I completed my overview panel. In the overview panel, I have the composition of the sample with respect to species. Then I have the composition of the sample by BMI category, by species, and by island. I know all of the Gento penguins are coming from the Bisco Island. Likewise, you can add some meaningful plots to here. Okay, now I'm going to move to the second one. First of all, I will create the plot for this. Let me get the plot. Let me show you the plot first. Okay, this is my second panel. Just one click gives all of the plots. This is just directly, I get the three-way data analysis, as well as the two-way data analysis on the same plot. This is very easy. This is very easy because you don't need to worry about organizing the landscape of the panel. This code automatically organizes all of the plots, and we can see all of the useful information. So in order to draw this plot, this is called pairwise comparisons. In order to draw this plot, we use this package called ggalley. This is the package that facilitates to draw this plot, to draw this pairwise plot. ggalley, double G-A-L-Y. Okay, let's see what I did here. This is the code. I'll give you a small minute. I'll give you some time to look at the code on your own. If you look at the data set, I have lots of variables in the data set. If you look at the data set, if I show you all of the names in the data set, call name penguins, I have 8 variables, but I'm not going to use all of the variables in the data set to draw this plot. I'm going to select only few of these variables. The variables that I'm going to use is select is one variable that I'm interested. Bill length is one variable. Bill depth is one variable. Flipper length is one variable. And the body mass is one variable. I'm interested about these 5 variables. So here you can see the code here. What I did was I select those 5 variables. I select, okay, take my penguins data set. This is called the pipe operator. Some people use this as the pipe operator. For example, let's say penguins. For example, instead of writing the code like this, I can write it like this, penguins. Take my penguins and pass it to the command call names. Instead of writing it like this, I can write the code like this. So the advantage is I read the code in this way, like the usual way that I read a book. But if you look at this code, we have to read it inside out, which is very difficult. That's why we use the pipe operator to increase the readability of the code. Okay, now I'm going to say I want to select these variables. I want to select penguins. I want to select bill length. I want to select bill depth. I want to select flipper length, and I want to select body mass. First of all, I select all of these variables. In the code up to this point, it is just select the variables and discard the others. After that, now I'm going to draw the plot. The main code that we are going to use in order to draw this plot is GG pairs. The main code that I'm going to use is GG pairs. This is my previous code that now I have extracted this data set. This data set is over here. And I pass this extracted data set into GG pairs. This GG pairs is inside the package ggalley. Okay, now I want to specify some variables. Inside this, I want inside aesthetic, I want to say I want to color all the points according to species type. I want to color everything according to the species type. And furthermore, I have to specify my numeric variables in the data set, because in order to draw these plots, they need to identify the numeric variables. So here I have to specify columns equal within the same red color function. I have to pass the list of my numeric variables: bill length, bill depth. Likewise, I need to pass all of these columns. So you can see everything happens here in the code, GG pairs. Up to this one, GG pairs. The other things, that's the main plot. If you run this plot, you will get a plot. This part is just to set the colors. I want to have dark green, dark purples, the green, these colors. I told you it's important to maintain the consistency throughout the plot. If you use one color, make sure to use that color locked for that specific categories. So when you run this, you will get this GG plot. This is where GG pairs plot. You can see the diagonal value shows the distributions. This shows the distribution for bill length. This variable, let me check this up. This is this variable. Next, this distribution corresponds to the bill depth. This corresponds to flipper length. And this is for body mass. So you can see where Gentoo penguins' bill depth is higher compared to the other two penguins. And body mass of Gentoo penguins are higher than the other penguins. It seems like Gentoo penguins are larger than the other penguins in terms of the body mass, flipper length, as well as the bill depth, beak depth. You can also see on the plots also they clustered it separately. The other two penguins, Adelie and Chinstrap penguins, they are difficult to identify through the bill depth and flipper length. This is bill depth. Their distributions are approximately the same. Very difficult to identify other two penguins, differentiate other two penguins with respect to bill depth, flipper length, body mass. The only way that we can separate Adelie and Chinstrap visually is by looking at their bill length. But again, then we find it difficult to focus on these two. This plot indicates in order to identify the penguins separately, we cannot focus on one variable. We have to consider the relationship jointly. We cannot separate these penguins just by using a single variable. We need the joint relationship of these penguins in order to separate them. When we have the joint relationship, for example, if we consider the joint relationship between bill depth and bill length, we can separate them very easily. But if you focus on one single variable, it's very hard. In this case, it's hard to differentiate these two. In this case, it is hard to differentiate these two. You can tell a nice story through this. Also, so here, if you look at this as scatter plot, the x-axis is corresponds to bill depth, y-axis is corresponds to the bill depth, and x-axis is corresponds to the bill length. And the associated upper triangle plot gives the correlation coefficient. This is the correlation coefficient considering all of the penguins. This is the correlation coefficient if you consider only Adelie penguins. And this is the correlation coefficient if you consider only chinstrap. This is the one if you consider only Gento penguins. So in a situation like this, don't interpret this correlation coefficient, overall correlation coefficient. It is not meaningful. Since we have the species-wise categorization, interpret separate correlation coefficients. This is a very useful plot because you don't need to worry about organizing the plot. It will automatically arrange the plots for you. Okay, and also when you are in the competition environment, we check these things. We check whether you have correctly labeled the plots. If you label them like this, we will reduce marks, right? You have to give the meaningful names: body mass, bill length, flipper length. You have to give the proper names. Okay. Sometimes we also include the data sets inside the dashboard. So if they want, they can filter the values and see what's going on. There is an easy package to do that in R. We call it as DT, data table. What you do is just load the package and inside the data table function, include penguins. So when you run this, so let me run the dashboard. Let me render the dashboard. Okay. Now, when you go to the data tab, you can see the data values. And if you want, you can filter them. If you want to have it, you can filter them. You can have the males. So here, when you filter it according to the gender, first we can see the missing values. Then we get the female penguins. If you want, there are ways to filter only 2000 values. There are ways to filter only Adelie penguins. So for example, if there is an outlier here, okay, we can recognize this penguin's number and we can go and check this from the data set. If in case if you get okay, I will teach this one as well. Okay. Sometimes we keep tabs like this. I will create a tab called 1. I will create 2 tabs like this. Let's see what happens. I will just write some letters here and let's write some letters here. Then you will see the differences. Okay. When you go to the more tabs, you can see the tabs here. Tab set. Okay. On the tab, I will draw plot 1. I will call it 1, 1, 1. Under this, I will call plot 2, and this is 2, 2, 2. And okay. So tab means you have 2 panels like this. When you click on plot 1, you can see the things underneath. And here, underneath plot 1, you can see the second tab. That corresponds to 2, 2. So you can see here, we said we want everything organized as tabs. So the first plot 1 is the first tab. And plot 2 is the second tab. Currently, I have highlighted plot 2. That's why you can see the content corresponds to plot 2. I will also teach you how to create a map. Use map visualization is a very different thing because it's not like cross-sectional data visualization. It's a separate field. We have to think about the projections. We have to think about the shape files that they use to do the map. But in case, here, I include this code. I generate this code using the ChatGPT. The command prompt that I gave for the code is, I asked to draw Bisco, Dream, and Torgerson. These are the 3 islands, Bisco, Dream, Torgerson in Antarctica. And I also mentioned I want to draw the map using the leaflet. So it's important to remember this term leaflet if you want to generate a map. So this code the ChatGPT automatically identifies the latitude and the longitudes of the location, and this part draws marks the marks the locations of the 3 islands. So it is important to know these terms. It's important to know that you can do these things. Then only you can use the AI tools effectively. Otherwise, it will, even the ChatGPT tools like ChatGPT will give old-fashioned styled maps. So you need to know the new tools. You have to give the right prompt. So I added this tab under the plot 2. So if I go here, plot 1, I have just 1, 1, 1. When you go to the plot 2, now it shows the 3 islands. This is in Antarctica. This is in here, down here. These 3 islands are here. Bisco, Torgerson, Bisco, and these are where we have these islands. Okay, the other 2 islands are here. So very useful for map visualization. The last one, you can put whatever the name that you want. The author is Tianga Escalagala. You can also put data source. You all can also put copyright note. You can change data if they want to reuse the data. What is the license? You can also put an email if they want to contact you. Usually there should be a responsible party for the dashboard. Usually we put that to the end, like data, those things we put to the end because we don't want to confuse the reader at the very beginning by giving lots of text. So when you go to the About tab, you can find the details of the author. Here also you can find that if you don't like to have your name here, you can have it, you can remove it from here. Okay. This is one style of dashboard. Here, you only interact with the graph. You are allowed to interact with the chart, but you are not allowed to enter anything to the dashboard. If you want user to enter things into the dashboard, for example, users can select the number of penguins that they want to visualize. So likewise, if you ask user to enter to dashboard, that's a little bit different. Here I use this format. If you ask user to enter some details, then you need to use the server Shiny. If you take some inputs from the users, then the server type should be changed into Shiny. So now in this case, I'm not rendering the dashboard. You can see when you add Shiny, server Shiny to the dashboard, you cannot see the file render. Instead, you run the file. Run the document. But this is only if you want to take user inputs. See the dashboard. Okay. So here you can see the dashboard. Here I can add the number of data points that I want to visualize. This is for another data set called diamonds data set. I can specify the number of data points that I want to visualize. I can decide on the X variable. Let me give a second. Here I can specify the sample size. Here user input, what should be the X variable? X variable is color. Let's say Y variable is clarity. According to Y variable is depth. So these are the colors of the diamonds. These are the depth of these diamonds. We want to color this one according to the color variable. Facet according to the break the plot in panel according to the facet variable. Likewise, if you are taking user inputs like this, then we have to change the server type to the Shine. In the previous case, we didn't ask user to input anything. We just have the options like zooming. Let me see the board. Let me get the dashboard on. Yeah, okay. So in this case, we just zoom the things or deselect or select things from here. We didn't input anything. If you go here also, we can just zoom this part. We did things like that. But if you're specifically taking anything from the users, you have to change this to Shine. Okay. So those are the main things that I wanted to discuss. This is not a full in-depth course about data visualization, dashboard creation, but this gives you the essentials for you to deep dive into the content. So I will share the slides. Slides contain all of these information, layouts, the icons to select, deployment, and also you will get the recording link through the committee. So that's all I have to discuss. If you have any questions, you can ask, or else I wish you all with the competition and keep on learning with the things that we discussed today. You can be a good data visualizer. Okay, good luck to everyone.
Thank you, madam, for the valuable and informative session. We truly appreciate your time and guidance.
Okay, just Natasha, one thing. I will take some
Okay.
questions that we have.
Okay.
Yeah. Do we need to use R Studio for the competition? No, you don't need to use. You don't even need to use the Quarto. You can use whatever the software that you are comfortable with to create the dashboard. But if you don't know how to create a dashboard, and if this is the first time that you are trying, you can start learning Quarto because there are many resources out there. So it is easy to learn the things. Thank you, Natasha. That's all I have.
Okay, madam. Thank you very much. Now I would like to invite Senaya to deliver the vote of thanks.
Good morning, everyone. It is a pleasure for me to deliver the vote of thanks for this insightful dashboard workshop. First and foremost, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to, Senior Lecturer Dr. Tiyanga Thalagala for conducting such an engaging and informative session. Your expertise and clear guidance made this workshop truly valuable and easy to follow. Thank you very much, Madam. I would also like to extend my heartfelt thanks to Dr. Chatri Jayasinghe, Senior Treasurer of the Statistics Society, for your continuous support and guidance. A special word of thanks goes to Dr. Rajita M. Silva, Head of the Department of Statistics, and the lecturers and demonstrators of Department of Statistics. My sincere thanks also goes to the organizing committee of Data Explore for their dedication, coordination, and hard work in organizing this wonderful event. Last but not least, I would like to thank all the participants for their enthusiasm, active involvement, and keen interest, which truly made this workshop a success. Once again, thank you all for making this workshop a meaningful and memorable experience. Thank you. Hope everyone will have a great day.